Hey guys, it's Kate from Fitness, Family, and Food, and I thought I would take a moment and sort of multitask here a little bit and do two things at once. A lot of people have been asking me how I make some of the things that I make and have been asking for tutorials or if there's a blog post with a step-by-step. And so I thought, I need to look into this and give it a shot. So I'm starting a new tumbler, and I thought that I would show you how I make a mermaid tumbler. So I'm going to start today, and it will be a several part series because it does take several days in order to make the tumbler, and I figured why not show you step by step rather than having finished products to show you, because that's just not the same thing when you're trying to learn. But as I was trying to figure out the logistics of, how was I going to do this and how was I going to show you the different steps, I was also sort of thinking like, well, what am I going to talk about the whole time I'm doing this, and how can I shorten it so that you aren't just, listening to dead air while I do something. And as I was thinking about the mermaid cup and all things shiny, I was thinking about my favorite quote from Henry David Thoreau, and I sort of put the two together. Now listen, stay with me because they do relate, and I figured that was something that I could talk about a little bit while I was showing you the craft. So what I want to do first is I'm going to turn around and I'm going to show you some things, and we'll get started, and I will show you the supplies I use and what I do, and then we'll chat for a little bit. So let me set up the camera so that I can begin to show you it. So I'm going to first turn it around. Let's see here. All right. So what I am doing is I am making a mermaid tumbler, and this is the program and the software that I use. It's a Silhouette Cameo, and I do have the designer edition. And what I'm doing is I'm taking this double wall stainless steel tumbler. It's Ozark Trail. You can get it at Walmart. If you look, you can get them on sale. If not, they're about $10 for the big ones and about 8 or 9 for the little ones. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn it into a glitter cup. So let me get this set up so that you can see. Now I already cut it out so that we could have some things already started, and I just attached my surface to the computer, the surface to the Silhouette Cameo, which has a blade in it, and I already cut it. And what I'm doing is I am removing the excess vinyl. This is the vinyl that I'm not going to use as I build my cup. And all it does is I just have this little pointy object, and I just pick it out. Sometimes I use my fingers, sometimes I use the pointy object, sometimes I use tweezers too. But I just take it and pull out what I am not going to use in the design. So, how does it relate? That's probably what you're still thinking about, right? So let me ask you this. Have you heard of the quote, "Be yourself, not your idea of what you think somebody else's idea of who you should be"? That is the quote that I thought of when I was thinking about what I was going to talk about a little bit here. And the reason why I thought about that quote, besides the fact that I love that quote, is that how many times have you been told to be yourself? Think about it. Or better yet, how many times have you told your kids not to worry about what others think, but instead to do the right thing or be themselves or stand up for what they believe in? Probably about 1,000,000 times, right? I mean, if you're like me, it's been about 1,000,000 times. I mean, I have 3 teenage girls. 2 of them are twins. So I'm always telling them, you know, you don't have to do what your sister does. You can be yourself. You don't have to have the same things that your sister has. All of those things. And sometimes I think that because it's said so much, it sort of becomes, you know, like hollow advice. You know, we've heard it so many times that we begin to, you know, tune it out like white noise. And, you know, I've been there even when there's been times when I think, I don't even know if I know myself completely. Like, what does that mean for me? And how it relates to a mermaid is because you want to be who you are. You know, you want to shine. Let yourself shine and show who that person is inside. Oops, you can't see me anymore. Let me turn around. So that you can begin to be that mermaid in a sea of fishes. Now, I have also been told that you really shouldn't care what other people, you know, think about what you do, and that you should just do your own thing and just not care. And I have to say, honestly, that I disagree with that approach. I think it makes the whole idea of being who you are simplistic. And, you know, I think that there's more to it than just doing whatever you want and, you know, blindly not caring about what anybody else thinks. I think that you have to know who you are, and then you have to accept who you are. Instead of just being impulsive and falling into the trap of doing what you think other people want you to do. You need to know who you are, and you need to believe in it, accept it, and then have your actions follow your heart. I think that's really very, very important and key, and something that a lot of us tend to, you know, fall away from, especially when we get to the point where we're feeling pressure to do things that others think we should do. Now, I admit, you know what, I like a quiet walk in the woods. I like gardening. I like crafting. You know, I'm happy at home, sitting here picking pieces of vinyl off. You know, it's quiet. Being outside in the garden with my dogs, you know, and having the peacefulness of the birds and everything else. And to me, that's fun. I'm okay with it because that's what I enjoy. And that, to me, is what makes me unique. Not everybody's going to like this. You know, there's going to be people that are going to look at this video and be like, you're crazy. I'm just going to have you make it for me because I would not want to sit there and pick all those little pieces out. And that's okay because, you know, everybody has what they like. And everybody has something that is important to them and makes them happy. It's who they are. And that uniqueness is what allows people to be who they are and shine as a person. So, sometimes it's a little bit hard to do this because, you know, you have to accept the fact that you are different. But it's okay because when you start to accept that difference, you know, you don't have to let it define you. you can let it help you grow. All right, so I have this done, and what I will do is I will cut off pieces of this. Now, if you remember, the cup itself is curved, and so because of the curve, you cannot do a giant strip all at once, because what will happen is you'll get crinkles and all sorts of bumps, and it just won't lay nicely. And so because of the curve of the cup, you have to cut it off into small strips. And so I suggest doing it this way. If you cut like 3 rows across, then what you can do is you can just put just that strip on and then build as you go around. Another method to do it is to cut straight across, so that you go straight and then you just wrap one strip around. To me, I find that that gets a little bit more difficult, because you have to lay it out so that it is actually straight, because that would bother me. So I like to take the strips going this way because I find it to be a little bit easier. Now, I do have one little cheat so that I can finish this up quickly, but this, let's get it in the light there, is what it's going to look like. Now, as you can see, they don't always line up, and so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to start cutting them piece by piece and getting them to line up. But this is what I have started. Now I have to finish the rest of the cup. The tricky part is doing it right here and getting that done, and that will be the very first step. So I hope that this helped explain a little bit of what I do and how I make it. There will be more parts to the series so that I can show you, and I'll leave you with this. You can't be everything, and you don't have to. You simply have to be you, and be that mermaid. Have a great night.